On that document he just shredded was the Father's name.
All right, family, I want to start by saying that my objective in this video is not to be combative, but to be compelling. I am not about to get into a fruitless back and forth with John Truth,
which was replaced with L-O-R-D in all caps in all the newer Bibles.
You mean transliterated into the Bible? Because clearly you don't read Hebrew, so maybe you need someone to translate and transliterate those words to help you out.
That was lie number one. And just to show you that he hasn't done any research on what a transliteration actually is, I have it here for you. The source here is Wikipedia.
The fact that he went to Wikipedia tells you the depth of his research, and the interpretation he's about to give you tells you the depth of his understanding. Wikipedia's own website tells you that it is an unreliable source, and Harvard's Guide to Using Sources adds that Wikipedia's sources may be using information that is outdated or that has been posted by someone that is not an expert in the field or by someone who wishes to provide misinformation.
Transliterations are designed to convey the pronunciation of the original word in a different script or language, allowing readers or speakers of that script to approximate the sound and pronunciation of the original word. Transliterations do not change the original pronunciation of the word.
The Hebrew word there in Genesis 2 and 7 is the Hebrew word for the proper name of God. It has 4 Hebrew letters, Yod, He, Vav, He. You can see them written here in this page from lesson 1 on Dr. Shun Sal's book, A Grammar for Biblical Hebrew. Dr. Sal has a Master of Divinity from Princeton and a PhD in Near Eastern Languages and Civilization from Harvard. Notice the chart says that the 2nd and 4th letter is the Hebrew letter He. And what does it say right at the top? That's right. It shows us that number 1, the He is transliterated into the English letter H. Furthermore, it tells us that the pronunciation of the 3rd letter, which is transliterated as W, is actually pronounced as the V sound. So the 3rd Hebrew letter there in modern pronunciation is Vav, just like I said multiple times in the original video. This is lesson number 1 in Hebrew. The 4 Hebrew letters, Yod, He, Vav, He, are transliterated to the English letters YH, WH. This 4-letter word is often called the Tetragrammaton. It is the personal sacred name of God. Notice the part he didn't read says, transliteration is the process of representing or intending to represent a word, phrase, or text in a different script or writing system. This is too easy. The 4 Hebrew letters, Yod, He, Vav, He, are transliterated to the English letters YH, WH. Transliteration simply converts the characters Yod, He, Vav, He of the source alphabet, which is Hebrew, to similar sounding characters YH, WH to the target language, which is English. Here is your same source, Wikipedia, confirming this. Notice at the bottom it even shows the characters in Paleo-Hebrew, which isn't even a separate language from Hebrew. It is simply an ancient script used to write the Hebrew language that was a variant of the Phoenician alphabet. The language written in Paleo-Hebrew is essentially the same as Biblical Hebrew. Here are 3 sources for more information on that. Even AI would have told you that the Tetragrammaton is transliterated to YHWH. Here's a source from Oxford saying that it's transliterated. Dictionary.com and Merriam-Webster.com say it's transliterated. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more sources. Now, who didn't do their research? Now, because God's name was so sacred, the Hebrew people never actually audibly spoke it. So the letters of the Tetragrammaton, transliterated from the Hebrew, were translated into English as Lord, spelled with all capital letters. This was done to distinguish it from the Hebrew Adonai, which was also translated as Lord, just not in all caps. Dr. Justin Rogers, who has a PhD in Hebraic, Judaic, and Cognate Studies from Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, affirms this and also explained that we receive the name Jehovah by taking the vowels Adonai and placing them into Yahweh. So no, I wasn't wrong. You just falsely attribute Lord in the Bible to some unfounded conspiracy of a name change because you don't understand the difference between a transliteration and a translation, even though you're literally reading it.
And I'll give you another example. So here we have the BYNV and we have the Restoration Scriptures. Both of these Bibles were translated by Hebrew scholars who study the original ancient Paleo-Hebrew.
What? You didn't think I was going to check? The BYNV was translated by Lou White, whose own LinkedIn bio says he has a bachelor's degree in business management and business administration. He has absolutely no education whatsoever in Hebrew, the Bible, or ancient languages. The Restoration Scripture's own bio doesn't list a single degree from any institution anywhere. There's not a single piece of verifiable evidence anywhere on the internet that would affirm these gentlemen as scholars. Scholarly works must have a high level of disciplinary expertise, which is public and reviewed by other members of the scholarly community. The nature and content of both of these books reflects a specific theological perspective, which is solely to focus on sacred names. Calling these books scholarly is an insult to true scholars. So, thank you for showing us all these sources, so now the entire world can fact check this and see that neither one of them is scholarly.
And as you can see in Genesis 2:7, they wrote the Father's name in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, Yahuah. Yahuah. But if I were to go to the Sefer,
according to their own website, the Sefer Scriptures were written by Dr. Stephen Pidgeon, who is a political scientist with a doctorate in philosophy. I mean, in the words of Kevin Samuels, man, you can't make this stuff up. It gets even worse. The Sefer Bible's own website explicitly tells us that it's not scholarly. It literally says it is the product of uncredentialed men who just had a call from Yahuah. So you don't need any education, any training, any credentials whatsoever. This is why there is not one scholar, one theologian, a historian, or a person with any actual education or training in Hebrew that will affirm the translation of the Tetragrammaton as Yahuah. Not one. Furthermore, you won't find the name Yahuah in any Hebrew lexicon, encyclopedia, journal article, or any other scholarly peer-reviewed work, because people with education in Hebrew know this Hebrew root stuff is bogus.
they actually transliterated it into the English script, Yahuah.
So I'm tired of this, my friends. So let's bring in a real scholar with actual credentials and let him weigh in.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. Let's take a look at a video.
Our Father's name is not Yahweh. This is a false pagan mistranslation. There is no W or E in ancient Hebrew.
This is just wildly uninformed. A consonant that we would transliterate as W is the Vav. There's even a word in Exodus. It is overwhelmingly used in the plural, but it's a word for hook, and it is spelled Vav Vav. If there were no W and those were just vowels, you would just have a word with two vowels, which is nonsensical. Words in ancient Hebrew were made up of combinations of consonants and vowels. And when it comes to vowels, there are several vowel sounds that we would transliterate as an E, from the tsere and the tsere yod to the segul and the segul yod and even the hatef segul. So this is wildly uninformed, and this content creator very clearly doesn't know the first thing about Hebrew.
Now, if you go to the concordance H3068, you will find Yod, Hey, Ua, Hey. Now, there's no W or E in the Hebrew. You have the Ua.
So this is nonsense, and this chart is the creation of a man named Lou White, who does not have any relevant training or expertise, but started up this movement that's associated with Hebrew roots and things like that. But this is pure and utter nonsense. There are absolutely no experts in Hebrew who would begin to take this seriously.
Which will be pronounced in Hebrew, the English transliteration, Yahuah. Yahuah.
So it could not have been pronounced that way anciently, because if we're taking the Vav of the Tetragrammaton as a shurek, as the long U vowel, then there has to be a consonant that follows after. You cannot follow a vowel with another vowel, except in certain circumstances that do not obtain here. And so it could be Yahuah, but it could not be Yahuwah, because you cannot have the vowel coming before the hey. Now, Yahuwah could be the pronunciation if you have another vav there that is understood as the W consonant, but you can't have Yahuwah the way the Tetragrammaton is spelled.
And with that said, I rest my case.